The murder trial of 4 men accused of downing Malaysia Airlines Flight 17 has begun in the Netherlands more than 5 years after the plane was shot down over Ukraine.
But the accused are not there despite international warrants for their arrest. 3 are Russian, 1 is Ukrainian, and they're all linked to Russia-backed rebels engaged in the conflict in eastern Ukraine.
International investigators have concluded MH17 was hit by a Russian missile in July 2014. It's a claim Moscow has repeatedly denied. The crash killed all 298 people on board.
Their families have held a protest outside the Russian embassy in The Hague. They want to force Moscow to cooperate with the investigation.
The idea of the action is to make perfectly clear to the Russian state that they have to cooperate with the investigation.
And what was hurting also very much was that the Russians tried to cover everything up, and that when it happened, nobody could go to the bodies and nobody could go to the things, and that hurt.
Well, for the latest, let's cross over to Lucy Hoff at The Hague, where the trial is taking place. So, Lucy, the absence of the 4 suspects on the trial, what kind of an impact will it actually have on this trial?
Well, that was the big question. I think there was no one surprise that the 4 suspects didn't turn up in person today, but one of them, Oleg Pulatov, has sent legal counsel. His trial will be proceeding as an adversarial case, but the others will be tried in absentia. That was a decision made by the judges in the first part of today's hearing. It was, of course, it's symbolically, we had 4 empty seats sitting in front of those 3 presiding judges in the courtroom. This is largely a procedural hearing over the next 2 weeks, looking at what evidence there is available in the case. The 4 suspects are charged with murder. Of course, the 298 victims who all lost their lives on the 17th of July 2014 when MH17 took off from the airport Amsterdam Schiphol just behind me, killing all on board. This trial taking place after a 5-year investigation by not just, it was led by the Dutch, but also had participation from Belgium, Australia, America and the UK, all of whom had citizens on board MH17.
Yeah, we just saw some reactions from sort of family members of the victims. What can we expect from the proceedings? I mean, they're looking for closure, obviously.
Yes, and I think the families of the victims are right at the heart of this trial. Many of them in the courtroom today, and they will be playing a huge role in the proceedings. We've had information that many of them plan to give oral statements in court, talking about the impact of the crash on their lives. Others will submit written statements. Clearly, this is a long fight for justice to them. They want Russia to cooperate. They will also be able to submit whether they want to seek financial compensation, and it may be that Russia is asked to pay that. So that will become clear over the course of the next 2 weeks. Of course, the suspects are not here, but we are told that they might play some role via video link. That certainly the presiding judges will hope to hear from them as part of the evidence. We are due to hear from the prosecution in the second half of the day today, outlining the case. This hearing is largely an inventory, looking at what evidence is available if that joint investigation, that major international investigation, has everything that it needs to bring those charges against the 4 suspects, 3 Russians and a Ukrainian, or if there's need for more evidence to be gathered. It could be quite stop and start. It may be that there are days where, you know, all legal teams need to look at what they have available, but certainly they will be looking to see if a fuller trial can go ahead. That trial due to last, as some saying, a year, some saying it could take as long as 3 years. So a long wait for the families to find justice, but many of them here today, a clear message from them that they want Russia to cooperate, and they want finally some answers for those 298 people who lost their lives in 2014.
Lucy Hoff, thank you very much for speaking to us from The Hague.